Hello, Lakers fans. This is Wilson. So the Lakers officially fired Darvin Ham on Friday. His ouster had been a mere formality for pretty much even I guess once the Lakers were down 3-0, it was pretty much already decided that more than likely Darvin Ham wasn't going to be back as the head coach of the Lakers, and so that was made official on Friday. And so last week, in the solo episode I did, and also in the episode I did with Big Mitch, we talked some about potential replacements, but I want to go dive deeper into that. Also want to get into Christian Wood opting into his player option, some NBA playoffs talk. Second round of the playoffs are underway, and whatever else I have time for. But I want to start with some YouTube comments that were left on last week's episode, the episode I did with Mitch. So yeah, some people had a few things to say. Going back, all right. So this person, I'm not sure how to pronounce his username. Truve LIJJ6210. He said, speaking of Darvin Ham, he said, Darvin led them to the Western Conference Finals the first year and lost to the defending champs first round. They could beat any team but Denver. Y'all don't know ish about basketball and piggyback what everyone else says. So basically, especially, Big Mitch was adamant that Darvin Ham had to go. I felt like, the issue with Darvin is that, or the issue with Darvin was that, just based on how the team performed, did he deserve to get fired? It's kind of iffy. But at the end of that, I think I compared it to Clay Helton. When Clay Helton was head coach of USC, he had a couple good seasons there to start, but it was obvious that he was not the man for the job. And USC, they dragged it on for, what was it? It was 2016 through, he didn't get fired until the 2021 season. So we're talking about, they gave this guy in his sixth season before they finally fired him. Jeannie Butts pulled the plug much quicker. Or whether you want to put on Jeannie or Rob Pelinka. They only gave Darvin 2 years, and now he's gone. But like I said, it was obvious that Darvin was not the man for the job. So, to me, did he deserve to get fired based on his performance? Like I said, it just depends on who you ask. But to me, I had no problem with the firing because it was obvious that he was basically in over his head. Another person, Frederick, I'm not going to say the last part of his name. I'll say it, Frederick Fokker. He said, if Mitchell went to LA, this is in response to a short I posted of Big Mitch saying that he doesn't think Donovan Mitchell would be a good fit with LeBron and AD. And basically, Frederick Fokker, he agreed. He said if Mitchell went to LA, it'd be a career-ending move. He'll never see the ball and get blamed every time LeBron turns the ball over. Fire the GM. Le GM, as some people call LeBron. I think derogatively. Personally, I feel like I forgot to mention. So Trae Young today, I think it was yesterday. It's Wednesday night right now, but he announced that he will not be. He signed. He's leaving Clutch. He's left Clutch Sports to sign with CAA, which is basically the other top agency in basketball. I think counter to Clutch Sports, and so obviously people are going to look at that and say, well, it was Mitchell and Trae were the two players, especially Trae, who had been linked to the Lakers this summer, possibly. But Trae Young leaving Clutch Sports and going to CAA, that wouldn't be a good sign, I would say, for Trae Young ending up here. Mitch was saying that he thought that Trae Young was a much better fit than Mitchell. I really just like Donovan Mitchell's game. I know a lot of people think, I've seen people make some strange takes. I feel like saying that Donovan Mitchell is like, I think Cuffs the Legend says, like that Donovan Mitchell is like a vibe killer, and I think it's the thinking is that Mitchell doesn't really like playing in Cleveland. He was traded there. He didn't sign there in free agency. He's been linked to the Knicks. But I look at that Cleveland team and I feel like Mitchell is the guy who's lifting them up. Garland is inconsistent. Mobley hasn't fully arrived yet. Jared Allen is probably their second most consistent guy. So, Donovan Mitchell, I feel like going back to, Utah, he's been very consistent. At the end of the day, we're talking about a 6'1" shooting guard. Other than Allen Iverson, how many of those guys have there been? So Mitchell is very, very good. But I feel like, I'm pro Donovan Mitchell in the Lakers uniform though. I think he's. I just love what he brings. I just love his competitive nature, and I think he'd be a guy who I don't necessarily believe that he would shrink in Los Angeles. I think he'd be up to the challenge. So yeah, thanks to everybody who commented last week. There's another person, Erica Maddox 519. She said, "Get LeBron on somewhere." So there are some Lakers fans who feel like that too. So there's that. Now, as far as who's going to be the successor to Darvin Ham, it's not going to be Jason Kidd or Ty Lue. The Mavericks just eliminated the Clippers in the first round, and both J. Kidd and Ty Lue have 1 year left on their contracts, but Kurt Gillen did a write-up for NBC Sports, and he referenced Mark Stein saying that they're not going to be fired, likely will be extended. Ty Lue spoke after the Clippers were eliminated of, wanting to remain with the Clippers. The other, the main three names I would say that have been floated around is, likely replacements are Mike Buddnholzer, Kenny Atkinson, and J.J. Redick. Big Mitch threw Rajon Rondo out there last week. That was kind of a wild card. But yeah, those three names, Buddnholzer, Atkinson, and Redick, Redick obviously LeBron's co-host on that podcast, Mind the Game. They're the three favorites. I think Buddnholzer and Redick are actually the betting favorites. But I personally feel like, obviously, Buddnholzer won the title with the Bucks in 2021, but was fired 2 years later. I didn't feel like that was right. Kenny Atkinson, he's been an assistant with the Warriors since 2022. He was the head coach of the Nets from 2017 to 2020, and went one. That wasn't his record. I think he went 90 and 118. I think in those 4 seasons. I don't think Atkinson is the guy. If it were, and I don't think Coach Bud is either. So if it were me, I might just roll the ball with J.J. Redick, young guy, new ideas, and see if maybe he can't be another Steve Kerr. And he's even younger than much younger than Steve Kerr when Steve Kerr took over the Warriors. But I think that would be interesting to see. If I had to pick one guy, I'd probably go with Redick. I'd roll the ball and just see what happens. Christian Wood exercised his $3 million player option for next season. I saw someone say that this could make Rui Hachimura more of a a trade commodity if the Lakers were, looking to move him for something. And we'll just have to see. I'd rather obviously have Rui than Christian Wood. I honestly don't. I don't agree with that. I don't think Christian Wood is that much of Rui insurance. What else is there? So I guess I'll transition over to the NBA playoffs. Second round is underway. The Knicks played the Pacers today. Jalen Brunson hurt his foot in the first quarter, missed the rest of the second half, came back in the second half. The Knicks trailed by 10 at the half and ended up winning 130 to 121. So they were up by 7 when Brunson got hurt. He goes up the game. They're down by 10 at the half. He comes back for the second half. They win by 9. So that just goes to show you the value to Jalen. The value of Jalen Brunson has been the best player of this postseason so far, numbers wise. He's just been carrying the Knicks with Josh Hart giving him a helping hand, and it's kind of like a motley crew of guys helping him out. But Brunson's been averaging like 35 a game in the playoffs. He scored 24 of his 29 in the second half. Josh Hart continues to ball. He had 19 points, 15 rebounds, 7 assists. Dante DiVincenzo, 28 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, made 6 threes. OG Anunoby was huge, but he got hurt. He had 28 points in 28 minutes. Isaiah Hartenstein, 14 points, 12 rebounds, 8 assists. The Pacers were led by Halliburton, had 34 points, 6 rebounds, and 9 assists. And Obi Toppin had 20 off the bench. McConnell had 10 points, 4 rebounds, and 12 assists off the bench. It's been a couple of high-scoring games. I guess the Pacers just play so little defense that even in the playoffs, where you look around the rest of the playoffs, and obviously the scoring has been down as you would expect in the postseason. But I guess the Pacers are even in the playoffs, they don't play any defense. So that series the Garden has been the Garden has been. I don't think I've ever seen a basketball arena as lit as the Garden has been this postseason. It's just absolutely amazing, and it's good. It's good for the game. And Knicks fans, they deserve this because they're some of the best fans in basketball. And so that series now will shift to Indiana. And I feel like Indiana, on paper, Indiana should be winning this series. They have 3 best players in the series, in Halliburton and Siakam. But they're a team that's, how do you say it? They're less than the sum of their parts, I forget how you say it. Basically, they're not as good as they should be, based on the talent they have. And the Knicks are basically just tougher and just outworking them, So there's that. Elsewhere in the East, we'll get Celtics-Cavs Game 2 on Thursday. That's, Game 1 went pretty much as you would expect. The Cavaliers, they don't have Jared Allen. The Celtics don't have Porzingis. But I think even if the Cavaliers had Jared Allen, they wouldn't be able to compete. If the Cavaliers were 100% healthy, and the Celtics didn't have Porzingis, if they don't, the Celtics would still handle the Cavaliers in probably 5 games. If you took Drew Holiday out of the Celtics added Holiday and Porzingis, obviously without them, I think the Celtics would still probably beat the Cavaliers in probably 5 or 6 games. Celtics are just that much better than the Cavaliers. Jason Tatum isn't really even playing that well, and the Celtics are just cruising. Also on Thursday, we'll get Mavs Thunder game 2. The Thunder handled the Mavs in game 1, beat them by 22. Lou Dort is giving Luke. He was giving Luke a dunk. Luke was only 6 of 19 for 19 points in 41 minutes in game 1. Shea was brilliant, 29 points, 9 rebounds, and 9 assists for OKC. Chet Holmgren had 19 points, 7 rebounds, 1 assist. Jalen Williams had 18, 5, and 5. And, that's just looking, it's looking like we're going to get an all kitty and all, a very youthful, probably one of the most youthful Western Conference finals of all time. You got one team whose best player is 25 in Shea. And then, this is still early in this Dallas OKC series, don't get me wrong. But top to bottom, the Thunder are better. They're young. Dallas has more experienced guys. But, OKC, they're young and they're hungry. And it's crazy. I don't think I've ever seen young teams like this play so well in the postseason. It's been something to see. That other series, Wolves Nuggets, man, that's been something to behold, because it's just obvious that the Nuggets, I guess, are not who I thought they were, and it actually makes the Lakers look worse. It makes Darvin Ham look worse, because apparently the Nuggets are not just this unbeatable juggernaut like I thought they were. But I don't know. It's shocking. It kind of reminds me of a couple series. One, when the Lakers played Sacramento in 2002, the Lakers are the two-time defending champs, and that's one of the most infamous series in the history of basketball. A lot of people think that Game 6 was rigged or whatever. I don't want to hear that. As a Lakers fan, I never wanted to hear that. But there's no question that the Lakers got by just by the skin of their teeth. It took Big Shot Bob. We're almost about to go down 3-1 when Robert Horry hits that 3 in Game 4. So because that Sacramento team was just, the Lakers had Shaq and Kobe, and the Lakers had a bunch of world class role players. I always had the best collection of role players on one team ever in basketball history. Of course, they had Phil Jackson as the head coach. They had the triangle offense. They won 3 straight championships with that formula. But that Sacramento team, man, was just, they were kind of high tech, if you will. It's like, as the great Avril Lavigne once said, does the mace still work in the age of guns and lasers? And there was some certain points in that series was, the Lakers looked like they had mace, and the Kings had guns and lasers. And they get up and down, and with Chris and Vlade, they ran the offense through Chris and Vlade. I'm getting sidetracked, but the point is that at certain points you could see where, despite our pedigree, just on paper, the Kings looked to just be a better team, but we squeaked by with our championship medal. And then the Warriors in 2016, when they faced the Thunder, the Warriors, once again, they're the defending champions, and they fall down 3-1 to OKC because just on paper, OKC just had more. They were bigger, just as athletic, even more length, And those first 4 games you watch now, you're just looking like, well, Golden State they can't really play with these guys, But once again, that heart of a champion, that was what allowed Golden State to make their comeback. And you know, it's I look at this series between the Nuggets and the Timberwolves. I kind of look at it like that. Like the Nuggets are kind of being exposed. They lost Bruce Brown in free agency, and the Nuggets are looking like a team that basically only has four. They have four blue chippers, if you will. They have four. Obviously, Jokic, Murray, Michael Porter Jr., and Aaron Gordon. And after that, it's a big drop off. KCP is a nice player, but after that, I mean, who do they really have? You know, I mean, Christian Brown is a good player, or he's a decent player. Christian Brown is a decent player. They have Peyton Watson, Reggie Jackson. I mean, it's pretty bad. Look at the guys who played more than 10 minutes off their bench. It was Brown, Reggie Jackson, and Justin Holiday. What type of bench is that? And you look at Minnesota. Not only do they have Edwards and Towns and Gobert, who didn't even play in Game 2. Now, Game one was like, okay, they chipped the champs. It could have been a fluke. We'll see. Game 2, Gobert doesn't play because he has his girlfriend had Gobert's first child, which to me, Gobert still should have played in that game. But he doesn't even play, and it doesn't matter. It's even more dominant, Minnesota is in Game 2. They win by 26. But they have Edwards, they have Towns, they have Gobert, they have Jaden McDaniels, they have Kyle Anderson, they have Mike Conley, they have Naz Reid, the sixth man of the year, Nikhil Walker-Alexander. That's a legit 7. So a legit 8, rather. And, so that's 8 on 4, basically. And the Lakers struggle so much with Denver. There's a big difference between your best player being 22 and your best player being almost 40. Even if LeBron is not the best, Denver, really AD is the best. I mean, AD is the best player on the best player on the Lakers, but for the Lakers still depend on LeBron to produce in the same way that Anthony Edwards produces, and he can't do that anymore. He can't do what Anthony Edwards can do, what Shea can do, what Luka can do. So it's just a totally different ballgame against this Minnesota team with this precocious young star and Anthony Edwards, who everybody says looks like Michael Jordan, plays like Michael Jordan a little bit. It's funny. I can't believe I claim there's another player getting Jordan comparisons after Kobe. It's like, wow, am I a kid again? He had another shooting guard getting Michael Jordan comparisons. Incredible. That used to be a thing, if you remember. Kobe wasn't the only guy. Everybody, they're always looking for the next Michael Jordan. But yeah, man, Minnesota, they're looking tough. They defend like crazy. They like to play like the Energizer Bunny on defense, just unlimited energy. That's the thing. One of the things that Denver is all the advantage that they've always had is that they play so hard and they play with so much effort and intensity and energy all the time. And Minnesota's matching that intensity and that effort and that energy with more players. They're deeper than the Nuggets are. So yeah, man, it could be a like I said, Shea versus Ant for the West. All right, so I still got a little bit of time left. Talk about this Kendrick Drake battle that I believe is over now. But so when I recorded last week my solo episode, that was Tuesday morning, and Kendrick's Euphoria had dropped just like a couple hours before I recorded. And And then when I recorded with Big Mitch that same night, same deal. So basically that was Tuesday night. Now since then, so the very next morning, Kendrick dropped 6:16 in LA on Wednesday. So I was Wednesday morning. Then Friday night, Drake drops Family Matters, right? And I don't know if I was asleep or what I was doing, but basically, when I got back in my phone, so obviously everybody knows what that Kendrick dropped like 30 minutes or so, less within an hour of Drake dropping Family Matters. And Family Matters was 7 minutes long, 3 different beats in one song, so 2 beat switches. And Drake is on there, and he's talking his stuff. It's a music video for it, and I really liked the way they did the video. It was basically they had to, it wasn't a musical performance in the video. It was just a lot of different scenes pertaining to, the diss, I guess, and with the, the caption with the lyrics playing, on the screen. And I liked where they did that, but by the time I got back in my phone, I actually saw Kendrick's diss, even though it dropped after Drake's. It dropped so quickly after Drake's that I saw Kendrick's before I saw Drake's, right? And so I don't even know how I would have felt if I had seen Drake's first, how I would have felt in that 30 minutes or hour or however long, 45 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever it was, before Drake dropped right on top of it. I don't even know how I would have felt. Would I have felt like, wow, Drake got him. Drake is back up. Because Kendrick, just completely rained on his parade. And it was obvious that Kendrick, as he said on 6:16 in LA, he had he said, "Did you ever think that OVO was working for me?" It's clear that Kendrick had a mole or moles in Drake's camp, and Kendrick just you could. That was bad enough. Drake had pretty much already lost at that point, right? And then so the next day, so Saturday afternoon, Kendrick drops Not Like Us, which is a classic DJ Mustard summer, back when Mustard owned the radio, that type of slapper, as they call it, a West Coast party anthem called Not Like Us, calling Drake a pedophile, which is something that he had. So Meet the Grams, that was a song that Kendrick dropped right on top of Family Matters, and he had a lot of that. First he starts up talking to Adonis, then he talks to Sandy, Drake's mom, then he talks to Drake's alleged daughter. So basically Kendrick saying that Drake is hiding another kid. This one, a daughter, an 11-year-old. He talks to her in like letter form. So like, dear Adonis, dear Sandy, dear. And then finally he addresses Drake personally. And, in the Sandy portion of it, he goes, your son is a sick man with sick thoughts. With sick thoughts. I think people like him should die. I think he and Weinstein should be effed up in a cell for the rest of their lives, right? And then the next day on Not Like Us, he basically just, he continued with that theme of, the cover art was Drake's Toronto mansion with the pedophile markers on top of them. So, and then Drake drops the next day in the evening, the Heart Part 6, which was, him basically just disputing Kendrick's claims. Now, Meet the Grams, so Drake's main attack, point of attack was basically Kendrick, his relationship with Whitney, that he and Whitney are, Kendrick's living in New York. I guess they're separated. And of course, most sensationally, that the son that Kendrick has by Whitney is not actually his. And that it may be Dave Freeze. Dave Free is the co-founder of PG Lang, which is the label that Kendrick founded when he, prepared to leave Top Dog. And also Dave Free is like Kendrick's basically like the creative director. It's like Kendrick's like his creative right-hand man. And so, basically, I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, Drake, I don't think that Drake took a loss, it was worse than the Pusha T loss. And I don't know. I think it's going to be hard for Drake to come back from this and be the same. He was. I don't. Like I said, I don't know if he was out rapped. I don't really think he was out rapped. I don't know if he necessarily. Who made the better song? Like I said, that's up for debate. But what's not up for debate is that Kendrick outmaneuvered Drake, out strategized him, and made the more effective disses. And I think the best thing for Drake to do right now is to take like 6 months off. But it's hard to imagine Drake coming back and being the same after this. And if you're looking for all the dogs, I think that's what Apple sold about 413,000 in the first week. But, Prime Drake is somebody who's selling at least 500,000 in the first week. If not 700,000, if not more than that, up to 1 million that, when he dropped views. So you could kind of see that the Drake wave was finally starting to wane a little bit. But I think I don't think Drake is going to become irrelevant. But I think what it could do is it could knock him down off that perch of being the main guy numbers wise, and make it to where he's basically in that Kendrick category, that J. Cole category, Future. I'm talking, sub 300,000 sales, maybe, in the 300,000s, like a Kanye before he went independent, but no longer in the I'm in my own stratosphere as far as numbers go, and because really Kendrick, his disses have gotten more views, they're streaming a little bit better. I think Kendrick is competing for himself, they said this week, for the top spot on the Billboard chart. Not Like Us could supplant Like That. So, a big week for Kendrick, a big week for DJ Mustard, who out of nowhere has his first hit. He's thrown right back into the middle of everything as far as the spotlight goes, in his first hit in years. And 1090 Drake also, he got a shout out on the Heart Part 6, so that was good for him. But yeah, man, it's been an absolutely crazy week in hip hop. And like I said, man, Drake, I don't know if he's gonna be the same after this, man. It's not gonna be Ja Rule level, like I said. He's not. His career isn't over, But as far as, like I said, numbers wise. I don't think it'll be the same. I don't think it's hard to imagine you know, those concerts, like when he was doing the concert with 21 Savage and he would, walk out through the crowd from, the upper levels of the, whatever arena he was in. It was like this guy was godlike, and it's like even for his own fans, it's like how can they be as enthusiastic about their Drake love now that he's lost a battle so comprehensively like this. And it's not like he didn't rap well. He did well. He did enough to beat 99% of rappers, but there's just there's he's Meek Mill is an idiot, right? Like, so that clip where Kanye's talking about Meek Mill and he's saying how they tried to get Meek Mill to tell him something and he starts laughing because, like, Meek Mill is a fool. But Pusha T and Kendrick Lamar, these guys they're just sinister, and I think the way that Drake thinks is a little bit more amateurish or immature. He goes for, whoever he's in a beef with, he goes right for whatever woman is nearest to their heart and dearest to their heart. And, Kendrick and Pusha, when they go to war and they take it there, they're going, they're just approaching it in a more, like I said, they're sinister, And I think Kendrick's attack was like it was a warlike, strategy meant to cut off the Drake war machine. When he talks about on Not Like Us, when he talks about, first of all, he sets it up so brilliantly, talking about Atlanta and how the settlers would use the town folk to get richer, and Drake does the same thing. And he goes to Atlanta and he gets these cosigns from these different guys for whatever he needs them for. Thug for the street stuff, Baby for the lingo. He referenced Quavo and 2 Chainz and these people, and Future for the club. And it's like, so how can Drake go back to Atlanta now and have the same, cachet that he had before this? It's like Drake's cachet with pretty much everybody except his most ardent fans how can it be the same? So like I said, man, Kendrick he looking to cut off Drake's lifelines so that Drake can never be the same again. And it's weird because I don't think he really wanted to. I don't know if he was really trying to. He did, like he said. If you look at it, he said on Euphoria, why you don't have to get personal, bro. It's a friendly fade, And then on 616 in L.A., still he's kind of warning Drake, like, bro, I'm on you. It's like he's warning him, almost like Johnny Cochran telling Christopher Darden, even though, we're not on the same team, like, don't let OJ try on those gloves because he didn't want Darden to look bad, right? And then Drake drops Family Matters, and he's, with these salacious claims about Whitney and all this stuff. And Kendrick was like, and Kendrick knew it was coming. He was ready for it. And Kendrick just comes with, this absolute, he dropped the atomic bomb on him, So, yeah, man, it's kind of sad because you hate to be, any rapper, you wish that when your time is over, it just ends because it just ends. But to be, have it end like this is just, there's only one other rapper that this ever happened to, and that's Ja Rule. And there's even, like, the same way that ether is a term that's used to describe just absolutely eviscerating somebody, verbally. When people say you got Ja Rule, that means somebody basically just ended your career. Now, Drake's career won't end, but if you think about it, if Drake goes from selling 500,000 plus and more first week to doing half of that. I mean, that's such a big blow that, I mean, it's going to be remembered for all time that Kendrick, drastically altered the arc of Drake's career. If you want to call it an arc, because it was, Drake's been at the top for, damn near 15 years now, But to think that, I mean, it's got to be a bitter pill for Drake to swallow if it ends up happening like that, if he's not the same from this, But, yeah, I think that's all for tonight. So before I get out of here, just a few reminders. If you're watching this on YouTube, hit that subscribe button next to the Complete Podcast Network. If you prefer the audio version, remember to rate, review, and subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts. The show is also on Anchor, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, and every other major podcatcher. Make sure to follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at TC Pod Network and to like it on Facebook. Just search for the Complete Lakers Podcast. And finally, send feedback and mailbag questions to CompleteLakersPodcast@gmail.com. I am out.